let's get reaction from both sides of the political aisle. We have Max Burns, who's a Democratic strategist and founder of Third Degree Strategies, and then also Garrett Ventry, Republican strategist and founder of GRV Strategies. Gentlemen, good to have both of you on this morning. Garrett, I'll start with you. And just that Georgia mugshot we saw yesterday, the first president to ever have one. There was no mugshot in any of the previous indictments, but the Fulton County sheriff said he'd be treated just like any other person. Why do you think he had to be photographed, though, for a mugshot in Georgia if other jurisdictions didn't require it? We know his face. He's not a flight risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unprecedented territory here. The reason why is this is just political bias, and it's the entire thing is a theater here. You saw this with the indictment when they rolled it out. You've seen it now here with the mugshot here. And if we take a step back, look at what Donald Trump is being charged with here. He's being charged with objecting essentially to the results of the election. Now, if we take, again, a step back here and look at what this means, under the Electoral Count Act, what Congress finally has now updated at the time of when Donald Trump did this, he had every legal right to do that. He also did under the First Amendment as well. They'd also have to hear this case is really a very slim case here, and it's really a flimsy case because you're going to have to prove that Donald Trump was doing something of criminal intent or knew he was when he the entire time has maintained that he thought that there was some sort of fraud here, whether you agree with him or not. And he's doing essentially what Democrats have done to the last 3 presidential elections that Republicans have won. In 2001, you had Al Gore bring it all the way to the Supreme Court to try and overturn the election. In 2004, Senator Barbara Boxer, a Democrat from California, stood on the Senate floor and objected to George Bush's win. In 2016, Jamie Raskin and a number of other House Democrats objected to Donald Trump's election results in 2016. And then lastly here, most famously in Georgia, Stacey Abrams, for years maintained that the election was fraudulent in her state in 2018. None of those people have been indicted. So you have to ask yourself, why is Donald Trump being indicted here? So it looks exactly like what Donald Trump has called it. It looks like election interference here. They had 2.5 years to bring charges. They waited till he was a declared candidate who is surging in the polls, winning by 40, 50 points against all of his GOP primary opponents, and then is matching up the most strongly against Joe Biden, his political opponent.
And Max, I want to get your take on that and piggyback off of what Garrett was saying there, because we were talking to attorney and Democrat Alan Dershowitz last week, who, as you definitely know, didn't vote for Trump. He's not going to be voting for Trump again. And he said the president's actions in Georgia are similar to what he and other Democrats did to, Garrett's point in 2000 with Al Gore challenging election results. So is there a double standard here?
Well, with respect, this is not a trial that's about speech. Donald Trump is perfectly free to question an election, as Jack Smith has said, as he did outside the courthouse. What he's not free to do is assemble a group of people to illegally access voting machines, as they did in Coffee County. And he's not free to try and change the popular vote count by threatening Republican lawmakers. What's on trial here is Donald Trump's actions. And we're seeing that it is essential to this process that even a president be treated exactly the same as any other American. If we're going to have a justice system that stands up to scrutiny, a president must not stand above any other American citizen.
Garrett, are you worried that these indictments harm the GOP's ability to bring in independents, undecided voters, those who may have fatigue over the former president? I mean, we've seen this be a shot in the arm after each indictment, but are Republicans worried about this and what it means for those who are undecided?
Absolutely not. If you saw a recent Fox News poll that comes out, over half the country thinks this is politically motivated here, and they have good reason to. And this is not Donald Trump being charged the same or treated the same here. Again, we can just look at even just the documents case here. Joe Biden had documents from the time he was a senator and vice president. We haven't heard a peep from the special counsel that was appointed to investigate that. But now Donald Trump has been charged with documents, and he has a very strong case under the Presidential Records Act. He had those. Hillary Clinton in 2016 had emails on her private server that any other normal citizen would probably have been arrested and thrown in jail for, and she was able to skate free under the Obama DOJ. So there's clearly a double standard of justice here. I don't know what we're talking about with that. The second thing I would say in helping the GOP, all we've seen here is Donald Trump continues to surge in the polls every time this has happened, whether the first, second, third. And now I think we'll see the same thing in the fourth indictment here. Again, he matches up the most strongly against Joe Biden in poll after poll. And so I don't think this is actually hurting Donald Trump. People see it for what it is, which is a political motivated charges against Joe Biden's leading opponent for the White House.
Yeah. Max Burns, Garrett Ventry, thanks so much for hopping on with us this morning after such a historic day yesterday. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.